Hi there, Giel here. Thanks for listening. Can You Feel It? Episode 8, which is a very special one because this was during the Amsterdam Dance Event, the launch of the podcast. So this podcast is a live recording with a live audience. You will hear it. Thank you so much, KRK, because it was in their showroom. And of course, thank you so much for these great G4 Rocket monitors. All right, today, 2 guests and 2 really great techno heroes from Holland.
Can you feel it? Feel it? Can you feel it?
It's the music of millions of people all over the world. Electronic dance music. In Holland we call it house music. It was my history. It was my youth. These were my records. Who am I? I'm Giel Belen, a Dutch radio DJ. And I want to share and explore my musical history with you, together with the biggest DJs. As you probably know, most of them come from Holland. Why is that? This little country in the west of Europe. And how did they all start? Can You Feel It? The story of a Dutch DJ from the bedroom to the festival.
Check this out.
This is going to be a dance trip down memory lane.
Let's hear it for Jeroen Verheij, Secret Cinema, and Joris Voorn. Yeah, this is a special recording because of the Amsterdam Dance Event. We talk about electronic dance music. And Jeroen, let's start with you. Do you still remember your first electronic, your EDM, your earliest dance memory?
Yes, very clearly. And I was in Parkzicht, and I was 16 years old. And I used to live in Den Briel, which is a village 30 minutes from Rotterdam. And I had the garden room. So I had to go upstairs to my parents and say, hey, Mom, Dad, I'm home.
Yeah.
And then I left exactly straight back onto
Classic.
the road where my
Okay.
older friends were waiting who had a driver's license.
Yeah.
And then, they brought me to Parkzicht. And there, for the first time, I heard Amnesia, Ibiza.
Loco, Amnesia.
And then, I don't know what happened to me. I was like, yes, this is what I want to do with my life.
Yeah.
I couldn't find any instrument that I liked, but I found a computer and I could make music like that.
That's immediately what you thought at that first evening at Parkzicht. Now
Yeah.
I want to make it.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was it. I was together with, people that I didn't know, and we were all with our hands in the air, dancing on that one track.
Yeah.
And that feeling and that bass and that whole euphoria that, it was like, okay, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I just knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Joris, do you still remember your earliest dance memory?
I think my earliest dance memory is probably as a 10-year-old hearing French Kiss on the radio.
Okay then.
And I was like,
I saw
what the-
that
what the
weird
hell is
video clip or no, yeah,
what the
it
hell is
wasn't
happening
yeah.
in the middle of that track? What is that? I didn't hear anything else. I was like, that's something weird going on. But I think that's my earliest like real dance music memory, and a track that I still play quite a few times a year until this day. I think for the rest, I very slowly grew into. I don't have one of these epiphany moments. It very gradually and slowly went from listening to more like radio, guitar music, to Nine Inch Nails, to Chemical Brothers, to Underworld, to Dave Clarke, to full-on techno.
Okay.
So that's kind of my, and I think I never really had one of these club moments where I was in the club listening like, oh wow, this is it. It just went very gradually from.
But you went to the club or parties?
I guess so, yeah. But like I used to go to my local like alternative club in Tilburg where I grew up, and they were playing The Prodigy next to Sepultura, so it was one of these kind of places.
It was 013 or
no, it was what is it called? I don't even remember. No, that was not that. It was Noorderlicht. Before that was Noorderlicht, but it was something else even.
Okay. And what was the first moment you thought, okay, I'm going to do something with this, or I'm going to...
because I have to refrain, you know, that memory that I just told was, I want to make this music.
Yeah,
but
but
my
you didn't.
earliest dance memory was when I was 10 years old, and I went to the record store and I bought my first 12-inch,
Yeah.
and it was actually Divine.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know?
more disco.
Transvestite,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I didn't know. I thought it was a woman, of course. And then my mom was like, "That's a guy."
Yeah.
And last year I had to play at the gay festival Milkshake, you
Yeah.
know? And then I had to close one of the tents, and of course I closed with that vinyl that I still have. So
Wow.
yeah, it was my earliest dance.
That
memory.
was Shoot Your Shot.
No, it was step by step.
Oh, step by step. Even better, maybe. Okay. And for you, Jeroen, what was the first moment you thought, okay, I'm going to do something with it? Because I asked for this series a lot of DJs, producers, and the most of them started with producing. Of course, you're the producer, the artist. What was the first track?
Well, that was that Amnesia Ibiza track. You know, when I was in Park and I heard that, then I knew, okay, I want to make this type of music.
Yeah.
Because my dad was a jazz player. He played contrabass in a jazz band, and he was quite successful. You know, they were just traveling around the country and you know, playing sessions, and they also did, like, you know, they did some practice, and then we would move from one home to the other home. And then there were drums, and there was a pianist, and there was, you know, like all these kind of instruments.
Yeah.
But I could never find an instrument that I really liked. You know, I tried piano, I tried bass and everything. And then I heard that music, and then I found a computer, the Amiga 500 with 512 KB of main memory. You know, this was really far ahead.
Yeah.
And, you know, I found out that you actually could make music with that. And then I was like, okay, this is my dream, so let's try. And then, I could release the track with just that computer, and here we are.
And yeah, exactly. And you learned it all by yourself.
Yeah. There was no blogs or whatever, you know. So I mean, you had to do everything by yourself, and it was basically just coding.
Yeah.
So lines of code going down. But they would always have a little demo of how the program works with already samples in there. So you could see what these guys were doing, and then you would copy it and make your own out of it. And then there was this one guy in my city who made a little sampler, and then you could sample for, like, I don't know, 5 seconds or something. And then I took one track. It's actually Eon, I think, something denser, I don't know. And it had a sound in it, and then I pitched that down as much as possible, and it became burp, and that was my first record, Sonar System.
Somebody give the Lord a hand clap.
Yeah, that's the Sonar System. Oh, wow. So that's even a sample of the sound of... Wow. Okay, and for you then, Joris?
I think I started much later making my own music. I was at art school in Enschede, and I went to the library. I got a book about electronic music. It was a lot of German flyers and really crappy stuff. But there was one thing about how to make electronic music, and it had a 303 in there. I was like, okay, wow, a 303. I guess I have to go to the shop and buy one. So I went to the shop. I said, "You guys have a 303," and the guy was laughing at me. He was like. He was like, "Yeah, a 303, you know what you're asking for, right?" And then he said, "Well, I'm sorry, we don't have these anymore, at least not the TB one, but we have an MC 303, which was just released that year, I think 1996, which was kind of like a workstation which did everything, like synthesizer and
Was it
drums.
like the Groove Box?
It's the Groove Box,
Oh,
exactly,
right.
yeah.
Okay, then.
So I bought that. I got it on credit, which was like 10 or 15%. My parents were completely crazy, mad at me, saying like, "Why the hell did you spend 1,500 euros on this kind of stuff? You're supposed to do your study."
And violin.
Well, that's
later.
Way before. But that's how I started. And I took the machine home, and I was working with it day and night. I had no idea what MIDI was. I didn't know what anything was. I didn't even know how to keep a note. So I just put a pencil on top of one of the keys to make sure that it wouldn't stop playing.
Okay.
I just really had no idea how this machine worked, you know. And then you just, like, slowly but surely, I got into a bit of programming and playing, and I don't know. It's just like learning and learning, soaking it all up. I was about 19 at the time, and yeah, I didn't make any real tracks with this, so it's not. I don't have like a real record history with making my first real record on this machine. But at least it was for me like a learning curve how to get into electronic music.
Yeah. Well, you hear the difference here between the 90s and the zeros.
Well, this was actually 90s as well, but yours
Okay.
80s probably.
Yeah. I mean, I went to Parkzicht when it was like 88, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But
So Parkzicht, because later on Parkzicht was like really hard.
yeah, it became Gabber and
yeah.
all that stuff. But it was actually Paul Elstak who discovered me.
Okay.
Because, you know, there were some local DJs who were playing already vinyls and stuff, and there were parties going around. And then one of them is called Paul Rose, and he said, you know, why don't you make a track with just one sound? I was like, okay, yeah, that's actually a good idea, because that's the only thing I can do with that computer anyway, so why not? And then, yeah, I did that, and then I sampled something from Meat Manifesto. Somebody give Laurent a hand clap.
Yeah.
And then I made that track on the Amiga, and then he was playing it actually from tape, you know, like a cassette, and between all the vinyls. And then every time the track was on, the whole crowd was like, yeah, you know, like, okay, something is working. And then he said, yeah, go to Midtown and just let them hear it, you know. And then Paul Elstak was working in that store. And then I said, okay, yeah, I have this demo, and I put it on. He was like, okay. Toot, 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 you know, telephone. Yes, René, can you please come here? I think I have a really good demo.
Okay,
And I was like, okay, this sounds good. And then, yeah, they came, and
That was the
they
start
said,
of
okay,
Meng Syndicate.
this
was
is
it?
too hard for Midtown Records.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then Peter Slaghuis, you know,
Yeah.
Hithouse, he said, yeah, I don't care. The harder, the better. Bring it to me. And then, yeah, we did 4 tracks, and I went to his studio somewhere in Nijmegen or something. And he was super gay, this guy, you know, from Jack to the Sound of the Underground.
Yeah.
And then he had a gardener who was gay, and he had like a household who was gay, you know. But he had a huge studio with full vinyls and SSL and whatever, you know. And he said, okay, well, here's the equipment. It's nice that you brought your computer in a HEMA bag, but yeah, please sample everything. And I've never seen all that equipment before in my life. Can you please reproduce that track, you know, so we can release it? And then I was sitting there the whole night, and they went to some gay party on Wednesday night, you know, like, woohoo. And then they came back and like, what, you're still here? Okay, let me listen. Is this all you done? Okay, fuck it, let's just put it on. And then they put it straight, you know. He was like, okay, we put the RCA into the computer, into the mixer, EQ a bit, it's fine. And that was the track. Yeah,
Wow.
It was super fun, you know.
So, and that was on Hithouse Recordings.
Yeah, that was Hithouse Records, yeah.
Yeah, I remember he died very young.
Yeah,
Peter
actually,
Slaghuis.
because he picked me up from the station, and he was driving like a maniac.
Yeah, that was the thing.
You know, and he had also a gay friend with him, and he was the whole time, take it easy, take it easy, you know. And then in the end, yeah, he actually killed himself by driving too fast.
It was a car accident or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And Joris, what was then your first production?
My first production, I think, was when I moved to Rotterdam after living in Enschede for a while. And
Because of your study?
because of my
the
studies,
art,
I was
thing,
finished. I wanted to become an architect, so
Yeah.
I moved to Rotterdam, of course, the city of architecture in Netherlands. I did study a little bit, but soon I found out that it wasn't really for me. And then I just free floated for about like a year and a half. I just made some music in my little attic. At the time, I was actually living across Jeroen's studio.
Yeah, so
Like-
every time I walked out the door, I saw Joris behind the Mac screen. Yeah, it was very funny.
And I saw him getting into like his vintage Mercedes. Of course, I knew who Jeroen was because I loved his music from before. I was just making my music on my computer.
Just for yourself?
Just for myself.
Yeah.
I was just, I was really just doing my thing, trying to get to know my sound and the computer and synthesizers and everything.
What were your heroes during that?
My heroes at that time, well, Jeroen definitely was one of my heroes with his secret cinema stuff at the time.
Yeah.
His Point Blank, Meng's theme track, which is one of my favorite techno tracks ever. And Carl Craig was one of my heroes, Jeff Mills, Derek May, all the classic guys from Detroit mostly.
Yeah. So you were into techno.
I was really
during
into
that.
techno, yeah. To be honest, at that time, techno was in a really good place.
Yeah.
I'm speaking about 2000, just before it went kaboom, in about 2003 and 4.
Because of minimal, you mean? Or?
No, because it got harder and harder. Kind of what's happening.
But
again
2000 was like
at this point.
everyone was playing 140 BPM. I
yeah,
think already.
yes,
Yeah.
including myself. But so,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the question again?
Well, the question is, but you're building up. It's great. What was your first release?
My
then?
first release, I think I was quite a lonely guy at that time, and I didn't see many other people except Jeroen getting into his car and into his studio.
Being on the phone.
I did. It was kind of hard coming in as a 20-year-old. No, I was 23, I think, at the time, into a city where everyone had their spots. DJs were playing their gigs. They all did their own parties. There was no way you could just come in and get any gigs. So I was just sitting at home without gigs. I was a DJ with a pretty good agenda in a schedule in Enschede. So I was just spending all my time producing, and I had like a long list of tracks that I started.
Who was the person that gave you your first live gig? Wasn't
There
Gilbert?
was Gilbert, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually Eva's brother who's
Eva's
sitting in the
brother.
crowd.
He actually-
he's
And it's very
okay.
funny because we knew each other from the record store, of course, Basic
Yeah.
Beat. And then he was throwing a party, Eva's brother,
Yeah,
Gilbert.
yeah.
And was like, Joris, I think you can be a really good live act. And that
Okay, so
was
the
his
first
first
live
live
gig. Yeah,
gig,
okay,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. It's funny. This shop had such a significant meaning in Rotterdam dance history.
Basic Beat.
Basic Beat, because
Yeah,
I was
absolutely.
there just record shopping.
Absolutely, yeah.
I didn't have any money, so I didn't go there often. But when I did go there, I tried to find some good records. Gilbert, Evo's, Jeroen's friend, Evo's brother, was around at the time. He was just throwing a party, which was something with audiovisual and music together. And I gave him his card because I gave my card to everyone I met, which is only 3 people.
Yeah.
But he was the one that gave me a call back saying like, "Oh, can you play a live gig?" So I did. So that was my first live set.
Yeah, but it's so funny, right? Just out of the blue, I think you can do it.
Yeah.
And then it happened.
Exactly, yeah.
Pretty
And
cool.
then 3 years later, I actually met you for the first time because I was at Sonar 2005,
Yeah.
headlining between the Chemical Brothers and Jeff Mills. So that was quite a big leap from doing my very first, like only 3 years in
And really
between.
fast, yeah,
That's
exactly,
pretty
yeah.
insane. But short after this, I think I released some of my first tracks by giving people, like some local guys with a record label in Rotterdam. Give them
Sound
some
Architecture?
demos. No, Joachim, that was someone else. What was the label? Keynote. It was called.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, all very local underground.
Jeroen, can you take us back to what it was like in the early days? Because now, of course, electronic dance music or dance or house, whatever you call it, is pretty big. Everything's well organized. But during the beginning, of course, it was all new. What can you still remember of that time?
Well, yeah, a lot. I mean, I used to do, there was a party, it's called Give the Lord a Hand Clap. So it was named actually after that track that I made, that Meng Syndicate track.
Yeah.
And then I just had that Amiga computer, of course. But they asked me to do a live set. So yeah, the live set was basically me playing a track from that Amiga computer and then waving to the DJ. And then he mixed in another vinyl and then I could load in another track.
Wow.
And that was basically my live set, So it was, and nobody even knew what was going on.
You were
and they
there
like,
and the music sounded
so
great.
you could basically do whatever.
Wow.
And it all worked, And yeah, over the years it became also professional, but I mean the first tracks they were so mixed bad with a lot of mid-tones, and I don't know. I've seen a lot of stuff, obviously that was crazy, but I don't know. I was lucky that with the sound that came out of that computer, which was just 8-bit, that people were, not so knowledged about, how it should sound. It was just overwhelming on the speaker, and therefore, I could build a career on that, Now I could never do that again, But I was just lucky that I was there when it all just started, So I don't know, just developed into to what it is now.
But did you feel the pressure at any time? Because the Meng Syndicate was really a thing, and I can imagine.
Well, Michel de Heij he was also working at Midtown, and he's a good friend of Paul Elstak, of course. And one of his favorite tracks was also that Meng Syndicate track. And then we got to know each other, and then I gave him some demos because he said, I'm going to start a label, and it was a really big distribution company. I think it was BME or something, whatever. And I gave him some tracks, and he wanted to start his own label. And then it fell apart because that company went bankrupt. Something with a.k.a, all that kind of, I don't know, crooky stuff, Hillary Clinton shit. No, but, and then, it didn't happen. And then he started his own label, which is EC Records. And then I was working at Hot Sound at the time, at the record store. And he came by, and I showed him the demo, Timeless Altitude, and also that Meng's team. Yeah. And he said, wow, okay, I'm going to start a label just for this track, and that was Point Blank Meng's team. Yeah. And then from then on, we became really good friends, and he was basically the DJ and I was the producer, so to say. Yeah. And I really also didn't want to be DJ because, I felt like, okay, I want to produce music and I want to show people that you can put that live on stage and all that kind of stuff. It took a couple of years before I really had a solid thing going on, like 96 or something was my real live set where everything was flowing into each other. But the first live set I ever did was with Dimitri and Derek May in the Olympic Stadium. Actually. Oh, wow. Yeah, and then I played, with the Courtois, and it was really, really live. That was but 94.
What was the workaround then with Michel de Heij? Because for people who don't know, he's a famous DJ from Holland. Yeah. Was he more like he played your stuff and he was, or was he also in the studio saying, okay, do the bass a bit louder? Or
no, not at first. First he was the DJ, and then they would do some parties, and then he would invite me to come, and then we would party. And then I, would ask some records that he was playing, like, okay, what is this record and what is this record? And then, he's like a living library, so he knew all the classics also because he was really scratching and all the kind of stuff. So he knew all those R&B tracks and also where the originals are from, the Jimmy Castor bunch and all that stuff. And then I heard one track with a kind of saxophone sample, and he said, that's Jimmy Castor bunch. And then I went into it. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, actually. And then I heard Watch Me Now, which I knew already from Ultramagnetic MCs, because I was a big hip-hop fan before.
They sampled it as well.
Yeah, they sampled it as well. Oh, yeah. And then Run DMC sampled, Peter Piper.
Oh, that's Peter Piper.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's basically Bob James, Take Me to the Mardi Gras, and then start digging. And then, I made this little bootleg just to, because, Dimitri was the big hero, and all the other DJs wanted to be like Dimitri, Marcello, name them all. And then there was Sunday night at the IT in Amsterdam. And then, they would play and blah, blah, blah. But there was this one track, Double D, that had that rhythm. And it was the Watch Me Now rhythm. Everybody was looking for that track, but I had it on vinyl. So I thought, okay, let's sample it. And then I put the Jimmy Castor bunch sample on top of it. And then we made a dub plate just to basically fuck a little bit with Marcello to show him, okay, I've got the track, but I also actually sampled it and, And then he listened to it on the dub plate at the club and we were like, what the okay, let's play it, And then they played it, and then the whole crowd went crazy. There. And then, we were there because we went on Sunday night, like, we got a little demo for you, And then it was like, what? And then, in the end, it came out. And then there was this Paul de Leeuw show, kind of talk show. And then they had DJs there, and it was DJ Jean and Marcello. And then Jean played it at the last track, so 2 million people heard it.
Okay, then. So then it became a radio hit as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. And for you then, Joris, what were the DJs you liked? Because you just told you started as a DJ.
Kind of, I guess so.
Yeah.
I mean, I started as a DJ when I started studying in Enschede. I started, I think, at the opening week for the new year. I brought a few CDs and I played big, one track after another.
Student city.
No, big student city, but like just for like 5 people in the crowds. I played a few things, and then I for someone in my class just knew I love music, and he's like, oh, there's a local DJ competition. Why don't you just send in a cassette tape? So I did. I literally I had 2 CD players, and I just and a cassette deck. So I just recorded like, I don't know, like 45 minutes of music together. There was no mixing, there was nothing.
No.
It was just trip hop
Okay.
mixed with chemical beats and jungle, trance, drum and bass, whatever you call it. Anyway, I kind of did the same thing when I entered the competition. For some reason, they picked my cassette. Maybe because it was one of these pop venues in the Netherlands that, you know, had their dance night on a Thursday. They picked me. I kind of won the competition together with someone else, who's now a friend of mine, Edwin Oosterwal. That's how the whole DJ thing started running for me. At the beginning, I was still playing my very first real gig. I played just CDs, but then I started buying vinyl right away.
Yeah, okay.
But I was thrown into the deep, kind of, you know, just playing for like 100, 200 students every Thursday night.
And it was your name, Joris Voorn, or did you have a fantastic DJ name?
DJ Saint Joris in the beginning.
DJ Saint Joris. Yeah, I was thinking because that was
Yeah,
the
you
moment
have to start low a little bit.
yeah, he started
I
as
thought I was pretty
Saint
good. So.
Joris. Oh my God.
So that's the ST went quite quickly, and then it was just Joris. And then I think later on, much later, maybe when I was going to do my first release in 2002, I think I called up Darko Esser from Doorn Roosje, and I said, Darko, I'm doing a release soon. What should I do? What kind of name should I use? And he said like, oh, just use your own name. So like, okay, I'll use my own name. So then it was Joris Voorn, but
Which is great.
I don't know. I hope so. I mean, I can't really change anymore. So
No, it's a bit weird if you call yourself Saint
You
Joris.
can't get rid of it anymore.
No. What was for you, Joris, the moment you really thought, because, well, as you mentioned, you were struggling a bit with the study and being architect now. When was the moment you really knew, because you were getting money and there were releases, okay, this is my job, this music is my life?
I think this. I got in contact with a guy from Paris who was part of Technesia. He was Charles Siegling. He was part of Technesia, and Technesia at that time was really big in techno. I loved their music, really amazing. And he kind of took me under his wing, which I really appreciated. He really talked to me on like a one-on-one level, something Jeroen did as well, by the way, which is really important. You know, when you're just a rookie and you're just coming new to the scene, it's very nice to have people that want to talk to you like and have like a real interaction about the music. So he took me under his wing, and he said, we're gonna do an album for you on his record label at the time. I was still working at a company, an architecture company at the time. And at some point I was working like 4 days, I was earning 700 euros, and I was like, oh man, this really sucks. And
Because you really finished that study?
I did finish my study, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I did, yeah.
With Rem Koolhaas, by the way.
Yeah.
I think he was the reason I decided I didn't want to be an architect.
Oh, okay.
Which I completely understand.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yes. But then I was getting a few gigs, and at some point I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just counting like my monthly costs, and I was like, okay, I might have a shot at this if I put in more time.
Yeah.
And I go full time for music. And I just did. I lived anti-squatting at the time. I was paying 100 euros a month on living costs with a friend of mine. I had a big studio space. It was amazing.
Schiedam, no?
Yeah, Schiedam, close to Rotterdam. I didn't have any costs for the rest. So I was just like, I'm just going to try and make this work.
But what was your family thinking or saying?
I think my family were quite open. Both my parents are in music. My dad's a composer. My mom was a music teacher. So I think they were understanding. They were never like, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be an architect, you have to be whatever, you know. They were very open. They didn't understand my music, of course, but that's a different discussion.
And for you, Jeroen, was there? How was your family dealing with the fact that you went into music?
Well, actually, you know, my dad died when I was really young. So actually, he died maybe 3 months before I released my first record.
Oh.
You know, of course, he wanted me to finish school and all that kind of stuff, but I never really connected with school or any kind of, upper society stuff. But yeah, so in the end, it was of course very sad, but also it helped me to do whatever I wanted to do, because he was struggling his whole life trying to get some money,
So that gave you
stressing
inspiration
out,
to do what
which
you-
actually
yeah.
killed him, I think. And then that showed me, okay, I just want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then this music could just it showed me that I can be myself and I can make a living out of it, and that gave me so much like motivation to make it work. But yeah, I was lucky that my first record, it sold instantly like 12,000 vinyls or something, and then the second one 25,000, and then the other one 300,000. So yeah, I could live basically from releasing music.
Yeah.
So my mother, of course, was like working on being alone, but my mom also helped me into investing in
great.
like, okay, I need this synthesizer, and Peter Slaghuis also invested in me, and with a lot of crying, pushing, and being very angry, I say, okay, FUCK school, and I'm just going to do this because I know it's going to work. I just felt it 100%, and this is how it went. And I'm lucky that I held on to it.
Always follow your dreams.
Yeah,
your
and
passion,
everyone else around me was believing in it also. And
Yeah.
Michel really loved all the music, and all those guys. I got a lot of feedback from all those DJs at that time,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, it was like a family, and it still is, of course.
I can agree. His mom is very supportive, because even though I met her only once, sometimes when I'm on Instagram, she posts like something very supportive on my post. Which is very
Really?
funny.
yeah,
I'm like, oh wow, that's so funny.
Yeah, that's funny.
Mrs. Verheij.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, she's my biggest fan for
Oh,
sure.
that's great.
So in the end, we're very proud, but of course it was a struggle.
Yeah.
Not to say, because I was also in the last moment of getting drafted. So this was the last year that they would ever do, like military service, and they really wanted to get me. And I actually used my mom to get out of it. Like, okay, mom, you need to tell them that you're a complete psycho and that I need to take care of you. And they seriously came to my house and interrogated my mom until she completely broke down into nothing,
Wow.
And then, okay, well, thank you, mom. And that worked. But it was like, okay, guys, it's the last year.
Insane.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So, okay, that was even more motivation.
Wow.
Like, huge middle finger. I mean, defend the country, whatever. But,
Okay, let's talk about music. I ask you guys to pick, and that's always a hard thing, 5 of your favorite classics. Who gave you, which gave you inspiration, or were very big for you. So let's start with the first one of you, Joris.
Yes, I think one of my very, very first absolute favorite tracks must be Robotman, Doodadoo, and
got to do.
Yes, and that's the Richie Houghton remix, like the acid version.
Got to do the do. Got to do the do. Got to do the do.
This track also taught me about how you can, with the most minimal ingredients, build something that lasts for 10 minutes. It's a track that's 10 minutes. I'm sure it was recorded in just one go, no edits. Just building up 2, 3 or 3s at the same time, and a little rhythm going on top of it. And it's very hypnotic, big drum roll break in the middle. And it's one of these tracks that really sucked me in and kind of taught me that patience in techno music is something that is rewarded if you listen long enough. And it's also the
You
tension.
mean with patience, like building up for a long time?
Exactly. And this I mean, to reflect a little bit on what's happening nowadays, it's something that I'm struggling with these days in music, when in my DJ sets, but also in producing, that I sometimes wonder, like, oh, something hasn't happened in the last 3 seconds. Let's do something,
Yeah.
But actually, that track and many of these early tracks from those days are really about the tension and the fact that nothing is really happening. Just a tiny little bit of filtering of the sound is actually what makes you fuck with your head, and that was really essential. And this track is something I love forever for that.
what Joris is actually explaining is also the meaning of my name, Secret Cinema. So that, you know, it's just enough music that like touches your
that's
inspiration.
why it's called Secret Cinema.
So you start seeing images
Your
in your
own
mind that only you
movie.
can see.
Oh, wow.
Just because the music gives you just enough, so you can still use your own fantasy to fill it all in.
What a great... I thought it had to do something with porn or with, I don't know.
Yeah. That's what I thought in Las Vegas as well.
Yeah, exactly. But it has some timeless attitude vibes as well in it.
Yeah, well, you know, Richie Houghton made this X-Mix compilations, and Timeless Altitude was in there also.
Okay.
We also asked him to make a remix of it, and then after 3 months he said, I can't remix this track, it's already too perfect. So it's a good compliment.
Yeah.
I don't want to brag or something.
No. Well,
But I still want to brag.
yeah. Actually, I was thinking, what's your biggest hit?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. Actually, the funny thing is that Merry Go Wild probably my biggest hit, but it's also the biggest Dutch kind of hit. It's not really global.
Okay.
But you know, Timeless Altitude is much more globally respected, I guess.
Yeah.
You know. It's called Timeless Altitude, and I still play it sometimes. So I guess it's all in the name.
Yeah.
I made an edit of Merry Go Wild.
Yeah.
I think we've been speaking to Spinning about releasing it or something, but for some reason it's just never happened.
Oh.
But I always love playing it at my Dutch gigs, you know, because everyone knows it.
Yeah.
So it's always like, wow, this track, you know. When I
Yeah.
play it like across the border, nobody gives a
No.
fuck.
Yeah, it's so weird. Yeah.
Still, people love it because it's a great track and it's a great theme, but it's not. It doesn't have this like, okay, yes, we know this track.
Yeah.
But looking forward to your own version then.
Okay, well, it's a couple of years old now, like 6,
Okay.
7 years old.
yeah, and you made it in the plane or something,
Yeah, I did.
right?
Oh, wow. Okay.
Who's that guy from Het Goede Doel again?
Henk Westbroek?
Yeah, exactly. So, I of course I try to forget his name, but he said, you know, the best hits are made in 15 minutes. This one in 5.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So yeah, one of my tracks
yeah,
probably.
exactly.
Well, the
Yeah.
first one I already mentioned, of course, that was the Amnesia Ibiza track.
Yeah.
Loco, Amnesia.
What is so special for you about it?
Well, yeah, because it was my first electronic dance music experience and also my first MDMA experience probably.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that whole euphoric combination of things made me into a career, and I don't want to say that techno and that kind of stuff is related, but for me it definitely is. So the one that really blew my mind was for me Stakker Humanoid, I think.
So, what do you think if you hear it now, Joris?
Sorry, what?
It's still a weird track, but
It's you know, this was not on my radar when I was 10.
okay.
For some reason.
Yeah, it's like 88 or
Yeah,
something.
It's funny when I listen to it now. It sounds pretty much like in retrospect, the first Chemical Brothers album is kind of a copy of this.
Yeah.
But then a bit more organic sounding, a bit more like a band sounding, but it's literally the same thing. Even High State of Consciousness
Yeah.
is kind of the
Yes.
same thing, even though
Wink,
it's just a 303. But it's a shame. It just sounds a bit too messy, and it's just too many things on top of it.
Yeah.
Like it's not focused. There's not like one thing that makes it work. I can imagine that if it's when is this 87, 88?
Yeah,
if you're
88,
in a
89 or
club
something.
somewhere and you've never heard anything with a 303 and a 909 before, you're like, fucking blows your mind.
Yeah.
But that's funny because a lot of those classics, even from guys like Dimitri and Eric Noan, if you hear those records now, it's
yeah.
it's so weird because there are
That's hagelslag techno.
it's like 6 records in one.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your second?
Oh my god. Yes. Well, I put them on a stick somewhere, but I'm just gonna go with Jeroen's track. Not because he's a good friend only, but also because I deeply love Meng's theme by Point Blank. I don't know why he chose a different name every single time he released a record, but he did.
It was the way it is.
I guess back in the days.
But any regrets? Because I talked to the guys of Chocolate Puma, who, well, in retrospect, because they was Clutch and a good man, and René Gaston.
everyone did
I
at
made
time.
music with them as well.
Yeah, but so it isn't really smart to do.
Everyone was doing that. Even
Yeah.
Orlando, my namesake, he did the same. He had too many names. Like if you go to Discogs and you look at all these 90s guys, it's like this many
lot of names.
You know, it's like
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
my god.
yeah.
It's basically every style had another name.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Track sounds a bit different. Oh, let's use a different name.
Yeah. Well, it's a funny story because I was playing live in Ibiza a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and there was this drum code room, and Adam Beyer was playing there, of course. And then I did a sound check, and they came in also early. And then I was sound checking Point Blank, Meng's team, the track Joris is talking about. And he was like, wait a minute, is this your track? Is this your track? I'm like, yeah, it's my track. Man, this track made me go into techno. I can't believe that is you. And what? And what? Can I remix it? So yeah, basically I made Adam Beyer techno. Are
And
you
you
happy about
even-
it? No.
You even made
But he called it trance actually, which is kind of funny.
a trance.
Yeah.
Okay, and you made a remix.
I made a
there.
remix, but I think this track was part of a compilation on RNS Records called what's it called? In Order to Dance.
In Order to Dance, yeah.
In Order to Dance 5, which is an iconic compilation.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't really realize that because it was all new for me. But this was one of the tracks that really stood out. Other tracks on the compilation were from Clarke or Aphex Twin or CJ Bolland, any of these guys. But this track, I remember like listening to this, and there was something very dreamy about it. And again, what really struck me was the fact that there's just not much happening,
No.
but things build up and build up. It's the same what he just said about Stakker Humanoids, like things just build on top of each other, and there was not much arrangement going on. It was just like things on top of each other, and you just needed the patience to listen to the music, and you were gonna get rewarded because at some point something was gonna happen, and that kicked in extra because nothing happened the whole time.
Yeah.
And this in combination with the beautiful melodies. It was really striking at the
Well,
time.
it's funny because I made that track also in one take. Of course, I had the whole idea already arranged, and then I had this sequencer, the MPC 3000, and a Kurzweil where the chord is coming from. And then while I was sequencing the track, I thought, man, I think I need to play another melody on top of it. Okay, let's just play it. So I played it completely unsequenced, and there is also a false note in there, which nobody ever, talked about. But yeah, so while the sequence was running and I was recording, I was like, okay, oh yeah, it's string.
Wow.
And then that became the track. And then I sent it to RNS, and they invited me immediately. And then Misha was like, I'm not going to lose you now already, right? I'm not going to lose you now, And then, I mean, in the end, we stayed together. We were good friends, of course. But it was really fun to be with Renat in the studio and,
great
talk
guy.
about stuff. And we still have contact, actually.
Okay.
I wonder what would have happened if it would have been released on RNS.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it could have been could have made
More
a difference.
than-
It
more
would have
classic.
made me probably more into a legend that people know than the legend that people don't know.
Huh.
The hidden gem from
The hidden
Amsterdam.
gem.
Yeah, it makes
Okay,
you so
let's,
much money.
Do you still use it during live performance?
No, sometimes I play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we did a remaster, and we also released it on Joris label. So we pitched it down a bit, 130, and it sounds much better
How was
now.
it for you to see the fame of Joris growing? Because like you guys mentioned several times, you saw each other walking
Yeah.
in Rotterdam, and at a certain point, Joris,
I mean, Joris exploded, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I was looking at it and was like, why? Obviously, no, but I am making all these classics, and this guy's playing all over the world. Yeah, I don't know. I know Joris had an underlaying foundation of having a family around him that made music, and that is in his blood. And I think people, no matter what style of music you make, will hear if you have that kind of expertise about notes, chords, whatever. Even if you sample something, people will hear it.
Can I interrupt for a moment, because I think the track that we just heard, I think that is the perfect example of that, the fact that you have that yourself.
Yeah, well,
Really, yeah, I think these chords and everything, yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you. But, I don't know, it's funny that I always kind of stuck around the fact that DJ Michel was playing my music, and I was playing live.
Yeah.
And, I won't say that kept me, more grounded, but I also don't know why Joris was already flying around all over the place.
But that's
while
another
I was
time.
Still,
because well, even Michel, he's like a founding father. But well,
it's just a couple of years difference. It gave the opportunity to Joris to be able to fly around, and for me, it was still weird to do that kind of stuff, or something. So, I don't know. But of course, I was really happy that Joris was having so much success. But also, I had to get used to it. Like, okay, where's this coming from?
Yeah, it was.
It's always like
it was
that.
another time. What was your breakthrough, Joris? Was it the illicit?
It was Incident.
Yeah, Incident.
Oh, yeah,
and the funny thing is that, I don't know if I should mention this.
Okay, now you definitely should. Okay.
Because Jeroen and me had been knowing each other. He basically knew me before I had released anything, before I was anyone in the music world. And I was sitting in his studio, which was like 50 meters away from my house. There was a big, very traffic-heavy road in between. But I was sitting in his studio with all his big stuff. It sounded amazing. And I was like, Mr. arrived at it, and I was just showing him my crappy sounding demos. And a few years later, I was actually on the same stage with him, and we were sharing, so many things. And then I remember one time he said, maybe I should make a piano hit as well or something. I don't know if you remember this. I think we were both kind of off our heads in a party somewhere listening to Richie Horton playing or something, and you have one of these moments. And I think Jeroen once said, oh, maybe I should just make a piano because that Incident track. Yeah, there was I sampled Kevin Sonnesen's one of his remixes, one of his tracks, and put that in one of my own tracks. Basically the same way that Jeroen made many of his early tracks as well. And that completely blew up.
And it was on Carl Siegeling's label.
Technasia's label, yes.
Technasia.
So that was my big breakthrough. That actually got me to play, in between Chemical Brothers and Jeff Mills on the main stage of Sonar.
But now, because you say it, now I hear the sample. Is it the Reese project Color of Love?
Yes, you're right.
Oh,
yes.
Wow. Never knew.
Train spotting Giel.
No, but you mentioned Kevin Sonneson and now...
That's the one. I kind of felt guilty at the time, but we cleared the samples.
Oh, okay.
It's all he's in the credits and everything.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it did create the biggest hit. Carl Cox was playing it every set that whole summer. He closed Dance Valley with it. And the funny thing is, it was just a sample. I bought the record once on the flea markets 5 years before that. I took this piano riff because I liked it.
Yeah.
It was on my computer, and one day I was like, I was working on this track which had a Santana sample. Please beep that out because I don't want to get sued. The little organ, I was like, it's a really great riff, a really great sound, but something's missing. And then I just went through my samples that I recorded, and I just put that on top, and I'm like, oh wow, this is 1 + 1 is 3 kind of moment. Yeah. And then I released, I sent it to Charles from Technasia, and he really loved it. His partner, who was the business guy, he said it's going to be a pain in the ass to get it licensed. So why don't you just play something that sounds a bit similar or just leave it out altogether? I was like, I can't do it. I tried it. Didn't work. So he was like, okay, it's gonna come out of your money, your royalties. We're just gonna clear it. Well, we did, and to be honest, that really that was released like just before my album at the time.
Yeah.
I think in combination with the album, that's what got me to the world stage.
Yeah. What was, and of course you're still rising and busy, but if you have to mention a highlight of your career.
You know, I think all my highlights were probably...
I can mention one.
Okay, well, I'll let you...
A highlight of yourself or
No, first yourself, and then I
okay.
can add something
okay.
to
I
it.
mean-
I wonder what you're going to say.
You know, when you're breaking through as a DJ, as an artist, it's a weird thing because you don't really know what hits you. You know, like you're playing, and I keep mentioning this to Sonar thing because at that time that was probably my biggest gig I've ever done, and I didn't even know what I was doing, but still I had to play for 10,000 people, you know, at Sonar, and I think the same year I played in Japan for the first time, which was like a really big thing, you know, because Japan is like, wow.
Yeah.
It unfortunately it's not like that anymore, but I don't know, playing. I remember calling up once Jeroen, like because I was going to do an Awakenings New Year's Eve show, and Rocco at the time he was paying me more than I was used to get, and I was like, Jeroen, should I do this? And he's like, yeah, Joris, if you think you're worth the money, you should just go play there. And I was like, oh well, I don't know, that's not
That
a
was
very
in
good
Amsterdam
answer.
at the gashouder, or
No, this was at the
NDSM, I think.
NDSM
oh,
warehouse,
okay,
yeah.
okay, yeah.
So there's so many of these moments in your early years, especially if you go really fast, and you're not really living it so much.
No.
Yeah. Okay, I remember one moment. We were both together in Japan.
Oh, yeah,
Now
so
that
there
you
you
mention
go.
it. And we were at Womb. And I think you played a set. And I don't know if I was also playing, but I was there at least. And you were already with Shanti together. And then you walked down the stage and we were in the hallway going up to the... And it was really a legendary place. You know, I cried 2 times during my sets there as well. And Joris was in the hallway. And I bumped into him, and then he just bursted into tears.
Oh, really?
And he was like, it's just too much for me. And I'm like, Joris, I understand completely what you're talking about. I
Because
think this
it
is
was
one
so-
of those moments that you realize, okay, I'm in Japan. People loved my music. It's one of those places I've always wanted to be.
Okay.
And now I got there because of my music. And then you realize, okay, the only thing I can do is cry. You know, and that was, I think, this is one of those moments that I can tell you.
No,
that,
it's true.
you know,
Yeah, I totally don't remember this moment, but yes, I'm glad you do.
Yeah.
I remember I was very emotional for me. Also, my wife is half Japanese, and I was with her at the time already.
Okay.
So yeah, things add up. But
Yeah.
Okay, we're still in the top 5. I think we're at number 2 or 3.
3.
3, yeah. Okay, so what's your third one?
The setup system, fairy dust. Now, until this moment, I don't know how they made that sound. Otherwise, than starting maybe Deux Chevaux. It's the only thing I can come up with, you know. Oh, I'm in France. But yeah,
Setup
so
system, yeah.
this was the period of you know, time that you thought, okay, where are all these sounds coming from, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, it is on par with Mantasm, Joey Beltram. I can quickly play.
Yeah, of course.
I never heard this track, by the way.
The setup
Is
system,
this
no.
famous?
No, well, I think I never heard it for quite some years now, but
Another one of those sounds
yeah.
in a club, bass, chords. You know, this really fired up Gabber.
Yeah.
So Joey Beltram was playing in a club called, I think it was called Tomorrowland actually, in Rotterdam.
Yeah.
And then I had the cover of this record and I printed it on a T-shirt. And I was like, oh, I'm a fan, I'm
Fanboy.
a fan. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So yeah, Mantasm. And you know, this was the period that you don't even know where all these sounds are coming from. And then it's like a Juno synthesizer and you know. And this kind of fired up the more hardcore scene and the more mellow scene.
Yeah, you had to choose at a certain point.
And I chose mellow. Basically.
Yeah.
There was a Dutch thing, I think. as
That was
well.
really a
There's
Dutch
only
thing.
a
Yeah.
Dutch
Yeah, kind of a Dutch thing. Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah.
If we think about it right now, but it was really a thing. Yeah. What's your third one, Joris?
It's very difficult. I'm thinking between. I'm going to let you guys decide between Orbital, Halcyon, On and On, or Stardust. Fingers.
Oh yeah,
Anyone
yeah.
listening?
Yeah, for
Orbital or Stardust?
Yeah, for me, Stardust. Yeah.
I don't think anyone's listening.
Oh.
Okay, hands in the air for Stardust.
Yeah,
No,
I'm gonna
well.
go for Stardust.
Okay.
Because let's all the rest is from the 80s, so let's just do something relatively new.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is 90s actually.
I know.
Yeah. So
have
the music sounds better with you. Okay, and why this one?
We can start. We can of course talk about the DNA of house and techno, and this is, I think, it's part of the DNA of house and techno. It's not from the 80s. It's not from 91. I believe this is 97 or 98. I don't know. Does anyone know? You must know.
Yeah, I think it's
98, right? Yes.
Yeah.
I think. The 90s for me are this is the time that I started listening to dance music. When I listened to this for the first time, I was already far into my local DJ career, in world famous in Enschede. But this kind of struck me like lightning. I don't know. At the time, I was like, "Ooh, it's a little bit cheesy, like this vocal." I don't know about it, but I was really deeply into filter house, like basement jacks. I actually heard it before, like you were playing a playlist.
Yeah, Fly Live. Yeah.
Fly Life was one of my very, very favorite tracks at the time. I couldn't find the vinyl for some reason.
Yeah.
And this track was, we already had Daft Punk's debut album, which was amazing, but maybe a little bit too different. This track was like bringing kind of everything together, like low bit sampling, but at a very high quality level, produced a musical production level that is even to this day is not met.
No.
It's probably because one of the guys' father was like a disco producer in the 70s. That's what I heard. This track is just amazing. I played it so many times at that time, obviously from vinyl. Nowadays, I still play it once in a while if I play one of my more mainstream accessible shows.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
I play it like I made my own edits.
Yeah,
I extended some bits and made some other ones shorter. Made a bit of a break, because at that time people weren't really thinking about, oh, we need a hands in the air moment.
No.
So it was what it was,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
But what I still remember was that in the year this was the summer anthem, that for example during Dance Valley where are several the kind of tents with the different style.
Yeah.
But
all
this
playing it.
tune was an all
It was a big track, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think still to this day, it deserves all the kudos it got like over time. I think it's the best disco house record ever made, and it's not gonna get better from there.
It was also released as a one-side vinyl, right? On some
Yeah,
casino
one side,
label,
yeah.
just one side, boom. Yeah. They also knew, and this is going to be
That was
one.
quite a thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, May the 4th be with you. What's the fourth one?
Yeah. Obviously, I'm from the 90s, so I'll stick to that. But yeah, there's one track that Laurent Garnier was in the studio with someone else, and he
A guy
thought,
with a saxophone, or?
let's make some music, and it doesn't have a saxophone.
Oh.
I think he was always in the studio with someone else. I don't think he ever made anything alone. Oh, this should have been in my playlist as well.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is that my wife, she has a blind cousin who is one of the most famous opera singers in Russia. And like, techno is not music. And then she showed this track,
Yeah.
and we're like, okay, techno is music. you can't stop this, right? I
Great.
mean, it's everything. It's beauty, love, remember it forever. It's
Energy.
MDMA.
Yeah.
It's euphoric.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You know, this is music.
Yeah. The fourth of.
Oh, the
You.
fourth.
I'm also gonna choose this track.
Okay, that makes it easy. Play a bit more.
No, this track for me also has a very special meaning. At the time when I got into electronic music, I didn't have so much money, so I just went through like all the sales boxes, you know, at the local record store, and I bought a I Love Fuse, a compilation CD, which was from the Fuse Club in Brussels.
Yeah.
And this track was on there together with a lot of amazing music. And this was the one that 100% stood out. And I listened to it over and over again. And again, you know, there was something trippy about the music and something that took me to a much higher level than, you know, many other kinds of music were able to do it before that. So yeah, this track. Okay, then now let's do the Orbital one, because I think... first of all, Orbital for me have a very special place in my heart as a producer band. I think that track Halcyon and On was another one of these tracks, you know, where you're like, it just keeps going on, and like On and On. They made it for a reason. It's like 10 minutes long or something, or longer. And these strings and these vocal samples that are from Opus 3, I believe. And this 909 kind of like DNA kind of house techno sound, just the same drum computer as we heard on Acid Eiffel before. It's just pure. Well, you call it MDMA. I think my first MDMA experience was much after this. After listening to this,
We were together.
No, I don't think so. No, but. Yeah, this is just close your eyes and go on forever. Also, music like this has been imprinted in my mind and has kind of become the blueprint for music that I've made myself as well. I actually met one of the guys from Orbital this year for the first time. We had an amazing night in Ushuaia in Ibiza. He came to visit me when I was playing because I'm making a remix for them for the box. I met him. He's one of the very nicest guys I've ever met, and I'm hopefully gonna see them tomorrow play digital as well.
Yeah.
But this track,
And you talked about this track with him?
yeah, there's many things. You know, he's just one of these guys that's so humble and so much full of like positive, beautiful energy. You know, I love that about dance music. People are so accessible, you know. It's so nice when you meet people that they're just a human being, you know. They just made a record on their attic somewhere. They weren't, these guys making this track, they weren't in a big studio somewhere that was funded by a big record label. They were just making this small sampler and a fucking 909, and they just made this track, and it was 9 minutes long because they had no way to make it shorter.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and then it basically all comes down to having goosebumps, right?
Yeah.
And
I
this
guess.
is, you know, something that you said always. The track is finished when I have goosebumps.
Yeah.
And you're so right. You know, this is what it's all about. I call it MDMA. I call it euphoria. It's basically goosebumps.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know it's all maybe tomorrow it's another top 5, but it's time for the last one. So you both can pick one. And at this moment, Jeroen is searching on his stick because he told me before the recording I've got 15. I said no.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you know, it's always good to have a choice.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah. You mentioned already before, Chemical Brothers, Prodigy, but before all that, there was Meat Beat Manifesto.
Yeah.
And they are Jack Dangers is my biggest hero of all time. He was sampling already when I didn't even know what a sampler was. And, you know, the Prodigy is basically based on what Jack Dangers already did. And I think this guy is the most underestimated producer in the world.
Too soon.
But he does, I don't know, 1 million things.
Yeah.
And there's just one track I picked out because everybody can hear that breakbeat, which Prodigy also used. So And yeah, a lot of things are based on this breakbeat. I came from hip hop, so you know, it touched my heart. There we go.
Yep.
Get the point.
What's the name of this track?
This is Radio Babylon from.
Oh yeah, this is Radio Babylon. Okay.
Yeah, Meatbeat Manifesto.
Yeah.
Literally sampled by Prodigy, right?
Yeah, it's
It is
Charlie.
completely
It's-
copied
That's
by.
pitched up for like
absolutely
100%
yeah,
something.
yeah, exactly. And also by the Future Sound of London. I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
yeah,
Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
Yeah, same
Because
thing.
before all techno and all that, there was this. Yeah.
What year
So,
was
yeah.
this again?
Great.
This must be, I don't know, 88, 89
Yeah.
or so, I think.
Pretty amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So yeah, for me, you know,
yeah, I can imagine.
the foundation.
yeah.
Yeah.
What is the guy still doing now? Do you know?
Well, you know, he does, I don't know, a million projects, but the latest thing I know is that he made a whole album with a synthesizer, which there is only one of, and he composed music with that one synthesizer on top of a film, and that came out as an album. That's the last thing I know.
Okay.
But yeah, he used so many names: Jack Dangerous, Media Manifesto, etc.,
Yeah.
etc. But yeah, I think he's the master of sampling. Yeah.
So the last one for
Last
you.
one. I remember hearing Dave Clarke's music for the first time. Whenever people ask me what's your, and I get this question a lot, what's your favorite techno track? What inspired you the most? It's I always have to go back to the moment that I heard Dave Clarke for the very first time, and it doesn't really matter pretty much which one of his tracks. I think at the time VPRO was broadcasting a lot of his music, playing tracks like
Red 2, definitely.
that's the
Red.
one I'm.
Sorry.
That's the one I picked.
Sorry for spoiling.
Thank you.
Protective Custody as well. That's
yeah.
that's probably the actually the name, or Wisdom to the Wise. Protective Custody is Red One, I think. South Side is another amazing one. Dave Clarke in his best times between 93 and 95 or 96. I think he changed the sound of techno forever. He kind of took techno, European techno, to the next level, also by borrowing from Detroit techno and stripping it down to the very basics, which was just taking one sample of Kevin Saunderson and some of his grooves as well, and just making it fatter and fatter and stripping it from all the musical elements, and making techno that was so hard hitting that we would never forget it. And I think this is also one of the blueprint techno tracks. I played at Tomorrowland this year, and then afterwards I was like, wow, this, it's still one of the very, very best tracks in techno that you can ever find, that will ever be made, because it's just not going to get better than this.
And the people there, they still knew it? I have no idea.
I don't know.
No,
I mean, the
but it
thing is,
worked.
people are dancing to it.
Yeah.
They love it because it is such a great track.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do so much to it. Like you don't have to really make an edit. You don't have to make it sound better because it sounds amazing. I heard somewhere that he recorded it at on cassette tape at the time. I don't know if that's urban myth or not, but it's like when you get to the nerd level of engineering, like every range in the frequency is there, like from very sub to the kick to the melody,
getting harder, and for me it's like a kind of a stereo feel where this
exactly. And like everyone's been like since that, everyone's been trying to emulate that, the way he's done things.
The Phil Spector of techno.
wow.
I think at the time, yes, for sure, 100%, definitely. And he did that with many of his tracks, and I know for sure that he sampled a lot of it. But we've been talking about sampling a lot, and that's one of the big inventions that got techno to where we are nowadays. Even though nowadays it's very impossible to
any
to
type
sample
of
anything.
music, basically.
Sorry, what you say? Nowadays it's
The sampling is a difficult thing. It's
because of the music rights or what?
music rights and other ways as well. It's just sampling nowadays is not what it used to be.
Okay.
I think back in the days, when we're talking about early 90s, that was a wild west. You could just sample whatever you want, especially if you're an underground techno guy. I don't think one techno guy was suing the other. I don't think Kevin ever sued Dave over using his samples.
No.
They both had a great career. So
Yeah.
Red 2. Great tracks, guys. And then the last question, and I'm really looking forward to the answer. Why is it that this little country in the west of Europe named Holland is like the biggest country in dance world?
I think you're asking the right question to the wrong guys. because we're not the guys making the music that you're actually talking about.
No, of course not. But well, we still
Well,
are.
you know,
We
I
are-
mean, Joris, you played all over the world.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
No, we are, but I mean,
I think I have, you
But
know,
have you-
I have
have
a
you
little
ever thought
answer.
about it?
I have a little
It's-
answer. It's just an opinion.
Yeah,
You
of
know,
course.
but I mean, this small country has been all over the world already since 1572, I think, and you know, this blood is still in us, and we just know that. Okay, I look at the ocean. And I see there is something that I need to explore. There is no mountain that blocks my view. You know, we have a social system that kind of protects you. We have Rembrandt, we have Van Gogh, we have all that kind of art that we all adore and we all respect. And all those things piled up, you see that whole world in front of you with that water. You just want to go there and show who we are because we're so small and the world is so big.
Wow, that's a great answer. Have you any idea, Joris? I don't know if you ever thought about it.
I don't know. What
Of course,
I can
there
add to
isn't
that.
a good answer, or
I'm
but
so much more down to earth than Jeroen sometimes. I mean, he's
Yeah, well, I can only mention one Austrian guy that looked beyond the mountains, but for the rest, I don't really know that many artists.
But I mean, to be honest, I think the music that really made Netherlands famous, it's not techno music.
no.
It's not really.
No.
It's trance.
Maybe
first of all.
people don't even know you're a Dutch guy. I don't know.
Well, most people know, but
Yeah, of
sometimes they're like, "Oh, where you from? Sweden or something?"
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's the trance and then the EDM guys that really made Netherlands grow, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think that Netherlands has such an open scene for music, an open interest. Like if you look at the Netherlands, in the close Netherlands, you know, like there's so many local DJs that actually don't play abroad. They maybe do 2-3 gigs outside of the Netherlands, but they are world famous in the Netherlands. They play every single weekend. I mean, one of the best examples is obviously Benny,
Yeah.
who until recently didn't really play abroad because he just doesn't want to travel. But I think he is a prime example of what we have in the Netherlands, like a lot of really good quality, highly talented people, but that, you know, I'm talking about the underground now because this is really where Jeroen and me are operating.
In the beginning, but
in the beginning, but like no, but we like this.
We kind of grow with how it went.
It's the techno sound that we play, you know.
Yeah,
even though nowadays I play many different things as well.
Yeah, Zombie Nation.
I think and yeah, I love that tracks.
Yeah.
I think the underground for some reason has always had a bit of a limit to it. If you look at Germany, if you look at the UK, if you look at all the surrounding or a few of the surrounding countries, they've had DJs like progressing much faster. Like all the big DJs in techno now are from either UK or Germany or Sweden or Italy. You know, like Netherlands. There's just not so many. Even though we have the healthiest house and dance and techno scene ever, the one thing we don't really have are clubs and not that many festivals playing EDM or trance.
No.
So we have a really good scene here, but for some reason people are too comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the EDM guys and the trance, they have the world as their stage.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that is an answer to your question.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Yeah.
Well, you know,
but
I think
it's more like why Holland isn't that big in techno world.
You want a different answer, but
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
you know, I mean, obviously are party people. You know, I mean, there's 800 festivals with more than 2,000 people every year. We only have 100 days of sunshine, so I don't know how that works.
Maybe because of that.
So
look at ADE this year. Like, it's so many things. Or any year, you know.
Yeah.
We're hosting the biggest dance festival worldwide. like by far surpassed Miami.
Yeah. Miami
And
stopped. Even
There's not
with,
even any.
No.
There's no other competition anywhere.
No.
And this is what it comes down to. We just have a trade kind of blood, you know. We started traveling already quite early with boats and all that kind of stuff, and just stayed with us. So yeah, we know how to organize. We also know how to deal with foreign people to keep everybody happy. And then, I guess that is one main reason that we want to spread our sound. And then I mean, EDM became really big, but it is based on a techno track.
Yeah, that's a good thing to
Stranger
mention.
to stability.
Jeroen, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to
sigh.
be remembered as I think the Mozart of techno and the no, I want to be remembered as
Long
the
way to go,
godfather of techno music, the godfather of techno music from Holland. That's how I want to be remembered.
You already are, so don't worry about it.
No, and nobody knows about it. So I don't know. I just want to be remembered like a guy that is really nice.
Yeah, that's also.
Not frustrated at all about other people's, commercial success. And I just want to be who I am, and people that I just want to be loved. Yeah,
Great.
That's all.
Same question
I
for
think
you.
we all want to be
Joris.
loved in the end, right? I mean, I started doing music just from the love of it, and I'm still doing it for the love of it, even though sometimes, you think a lot about how people are going to listen to it, a lot more than back in the days.
Yeah.
I don't know how I want to be remembered. I don't think anyone's going to remember me, to be honest.
What do you say?
Yeah,
now?
that's that guy that
Yeah,
made
I
that
don't
really
know,
good
like-
sample from Kevin Saunderson.
Well,
No.
yeah. First of all,
No.
no one remembers that track, and that was a big hit. So I don't know. It's whatever, and whatever is big the last 5 years.
I mean, we're making music. We release it. We have vinyls. People are gonna remember us. I mean,
Absolutely.
there's
I
no
hope someone's
question
going to
about
send
it.
my vinyl into space one day, and then
But
maybe someone will.
I
pick it
mean,
up.
you want to be remembered as the person that gave someone a good feeling. That's
I think
basically
that's actually, and this of course goes back to the title of your podcast.
Can you feel it?
Can you feel it?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much, Jeroen Verheij, Joris Voorn, founding fathers.
And thank you so much for listening and for the great reactions. I was just checking the YouTube channel, Music Express, which by the way is a great channel as well about the history of house. He's saying, I love the idea of an event of Can You Feel It? Yes, working on that. And I saw some great reactions about last week. Fedor Legrand, there was a guy commenting here, he's my favorite DJ. I know he's a legend, but I don't know why. But now I understand and know how he pushed the whole dance music scene. Thank you, Lewin. Thank you so much. Always leave a comment under the YouTube video if you watch this and if you check this through Spotify or iTunes. There you can leave a rating as well. So, next week, that's a great guy. In Amsterdam, Sander Kleinenberg, the founding father of Progressive House. Check it out.